How are ya? Jack Scalfani here, and it's time to get back into recipes. We've been doing product reviews, we've been doing field trips and all that stuff, but now it's time to get back into cooking. We're gonna be doing Brunswick Stew, and there's so many ingredients in a Brunswick Stew, but it's just like, it's one of these, brown all your meat, and then throw everything together and let it cook all, for 2 hours. That's about it. So there's a ton of ingredients, but it's pretty easy to make. So just hang in there with me. Most of the stuff we're gonna do is gonna be on the stovetop, all right? We're all gonna do it in one pot, and I hope my pot's big enough for all this. But as you can see, it's got great ingredients. Whole tomatoes and creamed corn and barbecue sauce and hot sauce and onions and salt and pepper for flavoring, celery and bell pepper, and then we're gonna do ground beef, and we got ground pork, and we got a big container of chicken in here that I've already shredded up. Oh, it's gonna be great. All right, before we do that, I've got to talk about a previous episode. The induction cookware. Wow, was that a mess. You guys, your comments were like all over the place. Some of you were arguing. Some of you were like, I've got induction cookware and I just swear by it, and that's fine. And I bet, some of you are saying I didn't pay enough money. Oh, I see. I paid $165. Had I paid $166, it might have worked. Some of you were going at it. So I wanted to tell you, the number one thing you guys said to me was, well, the reason why the eggs didn't cook properly in the induction cookware is because you had it on 1. You cooked it on its lowest. Well, I'm going to show you some footage right now of what I filmed last week. I didn't show it in the other video, but when I put it on 5, this thing almost caught fire. Okay? I'm going to show you right now. Take a look at this. I have my frying pan that works on this cooktop. It's a very flat surface, so I'm going to get as much heat dispersed as possible on the cooktop. Okay? And I'm going to do I always cook my eggs about a medium temperature. So I'm going to do the medium setting and see how this cooks. And we're going to overcook it. We purposely want to overcook it so we can flip it over and take a look at it. So there it is at 5. Pour this in there. And let's see what happens. Moving around a little bit. There we go. Wow, that's quick. I usually give it a little tap to let the air through. Looks like it's hot in the middle, or one here, one here. Interesting. I'm going to lower this just a little bit so we don't overcook it. I don't want to burn it. So it cooks fast in the middle. Wow. That's burning it. That's just burning the eggs right away. Whew. Sorry about that. Let's just turn this on low. Oh, man. All right, we're going to let it all cook out. But if you can see, the center gets cooked. Look at the outside's nowhere near. It's all liquid. And that one's burning. I'm burning the center. It's not very well dispersed. So there it is. I don't know how else to show you guys that induction cookware was a piece of garbage. And if you look on Amazon, most of them complain about the very center being hot and nothing else. So there's your proof. I did it at medium the same day I did it on low, and that was a fail too. So I just want to put that thing to rest. Now let's get into something amazing. Brunswick Stew. Let's talk about the history of Brunswick Stew. It's a traditional dish from southeastern United States. The origin of the dish is uncertain, and there are 2 competing claims as to the place of its origin. Some people say it was from Georgia. Some people say it's from Virginia. The main difference between Georgia and Virginia versions have been the types of meat used. The Virginia version tends to favor chicken as the primary meat along with rabbit. The Georgia version tends to favor pork and beef along with squirrel. As there's no official recipe for this Brunswick stew, this is a kind of stew that, like jambalaya and paella, that you could kind of make it however you want to make it. In our version, we're going with the basic meats. We're going with chicken, we're going with pork, and we're going with beef. And by the way, don't forget, this whole recipe here, instead of me showing it on the screen or putting it on my blog, look down below in the description. You can just copy and paste and print it, okay? Down in the description is the entire recipe of this. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is put a little olive oil in the pan, get it all hot, and then take our onions and our celery and just soften it up. I just want to show you really quick. I took the chicken and I cooked it the night before and shredded all the meat. So that's all just chicken breast and chicken thighs mixed together. You do this the night before and this recipe will make it even easier. So the chicken's been pre-cooked and shredded. All right, we're gonna throw that in later. Right now, let's go get the pork and the beef and get that all browned in this pot. 1.5 pounds of beef and 1.5 pounds of pork. Drop that in there. There we go. Just gonna break that up, brown it all up, and then I'll show you what to do next. All right, looks like all the meat's brown, the vegetables are soft. Looks like we're also gonna have to get into a bigger pot, so we're gonna use this pot because we're gonna be adding a lot more stuff. So I'm gonna upgrade this to a new pot right now. Haha, look at that. Now we got more room to work. Okay, now that's all brown, we're gonna add in the rest of the stuff. 1.5 pounds of shredded chicken. We're gonna put in 3 14.5 ounce cans of whole tomatoes and their juice. Gonna put in 1 cup of ketchup. Here's the little secret ingredient. You can use any brand you want. I'm using my barbecue sauce, the best barbecue sauce you'll ever taste. You're gonna put in 1/2 cup of barbecue sauce. Any brand will do. Put in any of your favorite hot sauce. I'm just gonna start sprinkling for flavor. There's no exact measurement. I'm just gonna put a little bit in now. I can always add more in later. Your favorite hot sauce. Then you're gonna salt and pepper, also for flavor. Just put a little bit in now, and then when you taste it, you'll know if it needs more salt and pepper. So there we go. I don't put too much salt because I usually don't use a lot of salt, so that should be enough. Before I put the bell pepper in, I'm going to mix this all up. Let's do that. All the meat, the barbecue sauce, the salt, the pepper, the onions, the celery, tomatoes. Okay, now place the bell pepper in there. Push it all the way down. Supposed to cook this until thick. They say about 2 hours. I'm going to lower the flame a little bit. I don't want to burn the bottom. Okay, you're going to want to stir this occasionally. I'm more about stirring too much because I don't want the bottom to burn. We're going to cook that out. They say it could take up to 2 hours, but I don't think it's going to take that long. So we're going to thicken this up, and then we're going to go to the last step. This thing's been cooking for almost 2 hours, so much so that look at this. My bell pepper is totally falling apart. So much for pulling that back out. I'm just going to leave it in anyway. Okay, last step we're going to do is put in 3 cans of cream-style corn. Okay? Any brand you like. Putting in 3 of those. Feel free to alter this as much as you want. Add in any spices or food you want. Once again, it's a stew. You can do whatever you want with this. Remember, you don't have to cook this on the stove. You can crock pot this too. So we're going to mix that in. That's the last ingredient. Oh, man. I can smell the black pepper in here, the barbecue sauce, the taco sauce, the onions, the bell pepper especially just seems to have busted out in flavor. All right, we're going to cook this approximately. We're going to simmer it down till it's thick for about another 60 minutes, okay? And we'll check back in 1 hour. This is an hour later. This is how I like it. Still got a little bit of broth, but it's thick enough to, look how thick everything is. It's just mouthful after mouthful. Chicken and pork and beef and corn and barbecue sauce and hot sauce and onions and tomatoes and bell peppers and different types of tomatoes. There's a few Italian plum and wow, it's just beautiful. Look at that. Just gorgeous. It's very warm, so we're gonna give this a try. It's amazing. You can smell every ingredient I put in here. Now, I got to tell you, the person who gave me this, her name is Johanna, and she works at Knott's Berry Farm. She is a great person. She told me about this recipe. I'm like, oh, send it to me. I want to do it on the show. So here it is. It's Brunswick Stew. We don't know if it's from Georgia. We don't know if it's from Virginia. We're going to let them fight it out while we eat it, okay? And by the way, my next episode is what goes with this. That's right. We're doing moist and sweet cornbread. It's going to be delicious. And you do cornbread with this, and you're in heaven. So make sure you tune in next week, all right? Oh, man. It totally needs cornbread. It's absolutely delicious. You guys take care. It's time for me to have dinner. I'll see you on the next episode of Cooking with Jack. Bye-bye.